up, surfers? This is Rttta, and I am Garrett Williamson, your research guy. This show, Random Things to Talk About, is when I talk about things that interest me, old or new. So today is January 19th, so the first thing I'd like to notify everybody about is Garrett Art Studios channel, which is my new channel that I'd like all of you, I know I'm still announcing it because I don't know if all of you that are subscribed to me have really seen all the announcements on it yet. So, if you're seeing this and you haven't seen previous stuff I've posted within the past month-ish, less than a month actually, ever since December 27th, then please go check out the channel. I'm moving all my stuff except for this onto there. But GCWaves will be like adding in new stuff, hopefully new stuff in the future. And we will also be trying to post more shorts and skits that we've just had ideas of and we want to record. We're hopefully going to be posting those more often just because I feel that needs to be a lot more of what needs to be happening on the channel. So yeah, please remember to check out the Garrett Studios channel. I guess link right here. There'll be a link below and a link at the end of the video as well. So yes, be sure to check it out and subscribe because all my shorts and everything and anything new that I want to do is going over there. So hopefully a lot will be happening. So far I've only uploaded 3 videos since December 27th because I've been very busy lately, and that's the truth. That's not an excuse. So yeah, let's just get into the things I want to speak of today. Freaking put my mouse and keyboard back over. There we go. Jeez. So there's that sexy beast right there. If you have no clue who that person is, then I'm going to be honest. By fact, you live under a rock. If you look at the bottom, it says Michael Jackson. That's a Captain EO poster. Captain EO was a ride in Disney World back in the 80s. They got rid of it, and then in tribute to him when he died in 09, they brought it back. And they said it was only going to be there for a temporary time, but it's still there, and it's in Epcot in Disney World. I believe it's in Tomorrowland in Disneyland. So next time you go to Disney World or Disneyland, be sure to check that out because it is beyond epic. So what I wanted to talk about today almost continues on from last week. And in case you didn't see it, which you should have, but in case you didn't see it, last week I did Sega Genesis versus the SNES as my subject. What I'm going to talk about today was also actually part of what I was going to talk about last week, but last week already had a groundbreaking record of 16 minutes for the episode, which is ridiculously way too long, not needed. If you watched that whole video, you're amazing. You're my new best friend. So what does Michael Jackson have to do with the Sega Genesis? Well, there was that Michael Jackson game that came out in the early 90s, which, you know, was that one where I think he has to save a whole bunch of kids. And he's like in his smooth criminal, sexy suit, outfit, awesomeness. So after what happened in 93 or 94, whenever it was, that kid thing started becoming a little creepy. I honestly feel really bad for the guy. He's a musical genius, but he was screwed up. But that is not what I wanted to talk about, because that is already sort of obvious. It's out there. If you want to go and look up more on that game, then have fun. It was a Sega Genesis game. What I'm going to talk about today is Michael Jackson's involvement with Sonic the Hedgehog 3. What? What? Now, hold on. Michael Jackson actually had something to do with Sonic the Hedgehog? Now, for you Sonic fanatics out there who just know everything about Sonic, if you are a huge fan, you probably already know about this. It's actually really interesting and rather cool, which is why I decided to talk about it, because obviously this is things that are hopefully interesting to you, as interesting as they are to me. I mean, come on, considering my intro line, why would I talk about something that I'm not interested in? So for one, Michael Jackson already sort of had to do with Sonic before he himself actually had to do with Sonic. What do I mean by this? Well, believe it or not, Sonic the Hedgehog's design is slightly based off of Michael Jackson. And what part of Sonic the Hedgehog's appearance could possibly have anything to do with Michael Jackson? Well, his shoes. It seems like one of the only parts that really could make sense because the rest of himself is practically naked anyway, so... But they based Sonic the Hedgehog's shoes off of both pretty much a mix of Santa Claus and Michael Jackson. That's a weird combination, but hey, you get the famous red and white shoes with the locks on them that we see today. Of course, in the original design before they changed it to what they know as the modern Sonic design, which was recreated for Sonic Adventure. Before that, it was just a red shoe with a white stripe on it. And the cool socks. But Michael Jackson's involvement with Sonic 3 had nothing to do with anything visual. It had to do with the music, which is obviously what he's known for. There is evidence that Michael Jackson did indeed have something to do with Sonic the Hedgehog 3's music. Let me start using my sources from Sonic Rttta, one of my top Sonic resources, and one of the most trusted, honestly. So, there was an interview with Brad Buxer, I really don't know how you say that last name, but he is a credited music composer for the Sonic 3 soundtrack, and he did have something to do with Michael Jackson's works for Sonic 3's music. He was interviewed for the Black and White magazine, and this is what they say. So Black and White magazine asked, can you clarify the rumor that Michael had in 1993 composed the music for Sonic 3 video game for which you have been credited? Brad in return answered, I have never played the game, so I do not know what tracks on which Michael and I have worked the developers have kept. But we did compose music for the game. Michael called me at the time for help on this project, and that's what I did. And if he is not credited for composing the music, it's because he was not happy with the result sound coming out of the console. I probably might have been the same way. At the time, game consoles did not allow an optimal sound reproduction, yes, and Michael found it frustrating. Of course he did, considering how amazing of music he really normally did. He did not want to be associated with a product that devalued his music, and I mean, I get it, that makes a lot of sense. So Black and White then asks, one of the surprising things in this soundtrack is that you can hear the chords from Stranger in Moscow, which is supposed to have been composed later. Brad replied, yes. Michael and I had composed those chords for the game, and it has been used as bass for Stranger in Moscow. So, according to the statement, Jackson did not want to be credited in the game because of the crappy sound, and he didn't want people to think he was working on music for something that had such crappy sound, considering how much of a musical genius he was and how amazing his stuff normally sounded over his normal record. And the similarity between Stranger in Moscow and the Sonic 3 credits sounds is not a coincidence. Those chords were really both used, and it wasn't a coincidence that that happened. They used those chords in the credits and then later used them in Stranger in Moscow. This interview was in 2009, so the year MJ died. So then there was an interview with Roger Hector, which this interview was actually 4 years earlier in 2005. The interview was conducted by HXC. I really don't know what that is unless that's abbreviations for something I do know. I really don't know. He was the executive coordinator for Sonic 3 and general manager of the Sega Technical Institute for a number of years. But in this interview, he reveals information about Jackson's involvement in composing the game's soundtrack. But he had a different answer, and this is one of like his favorite projects he'd ever done, so, you know, let's just listen. He said Sonic 3, also called Sonic and Knuckles, was a lot of fun, but it was also very difficult. Michael Jackson was originally brought in to compose all the music for the game, but at the very end, his work was dropped after his scandals became public. This caused a lot of problems and required a lot of working, but the game turned out great in the end. So in this statement, he's saying, oh yeah, we had Michael Jackson originally planned to do stuff for the game, but all his stuff was completely off the charts, gone, done, because he was accused of molesting a child. And unfortunately, Michael Jackson had to leave, obviously, to take care of that. And I'm not sure they wanted the name of a really famous pop star in their credits that was accused of molesting a child. What's interesting is every composer in the Sonic 3 game had, in some point in their career, actually had a part in working with Michael Jackson sometime in their musical career. So one side is saying, oh yeah, he had some stuff in there, but he didn't like a lot of it, so he quit on a lot of it, but the chords from Sonic 3 credits did in fact have to do with Michael Jackson in a very strong way. On the other hand, there was that other guy, Roger, whatever his name was, that said, yeah, he was gonna be a part of it, but nope, he had nope. So obviously there is evidence one way or another that Michael Jackson did indeed at least have some part in the Sonic 3 soundtrack. Whether any of his stuff actually made it into Sonic 3 or not, he is in the history of Sonic. But a few years back, somebody was able to catch that a lot of the songs in Sonic 3 really are really similar to Michael Jackson's songs. A very noticeable one is Ice Cap Zone, where the bass line sort of sounds like Smooth Criminal, while the chords sound a lot like Who Is It. The chord progression in Smooth Criminal also sort of is like Ice Cap Zone, but Who Is It really does strongly have that same chord progression. Another very noticeable one is Carnival Night Zone. There's a moment when they use obviously fake synth horns in Carnival Night Zone, which transitions it back into the beginning part of the song. This horn riff is nearly the same exact thing as the one used in Jam earlier on in '91 from Michael Jackson's Dangerous record. This stuff seems almost too similar to possibly be coincidence. Clearly something about it had to do with Michael Jackson. Obviously someone was either heavily inspired or based some of their stuff off of Michael Jackson in tribute maybe to Michael Jackson's attempt at being in the game's soundtrack. I don't know, but one way or another this does not seem like it's coincidence. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about this week. Next week, I really sort of actually want to talk about the whole history of rating games. I know I'm sort of on a video game spree here, but you know, all this information and I just need to be able to get it out there. So yeah, the question of this week is, what do you think? Do you think Michael Jackson's stuff did make it into the game, or did it all get dropped? Maybe something was based on it, or do you think all of it is coincidence? Again, like I said earlier, Michael Jackson's having a part in the game is evident, but there's a possibility none of it actually ended up in there. So yeah, tell me what you think in the comments section down below. Remember, you can ask a question, suggest something new, request something to talk about. And if you have an interesting fact, please put it in the comments section or send me a message via the inbox on YouTube or whatever, or email, which is GCWaves2@gmail.com. You can also ask questions the same exact way. So, what should you do to this video? Share it, comment, smash the like button, and most importantly, to me at least, subscribe. I should just be playing piano every single time I sing. I think that is less awkward and actually interesting, so then all you guys are like, what song's he gonna play this time? So, am I forgetting something? I'm probably forgetting something. So, this has been Rttta, and I leave you with one word. Farewell!